in a documentary, there's a couple things I'll share with you guys on what I took away from it. But Rob, maybe share the clip on how he got access to some of the footage of the documentary. Is this the one, Rob?
Yep.
Go for it.
We got that footage of Diddy.
I think most journalists would not disclose their sources.
Does he know y'all have this in the doc?
I would doubt.
So when this airs, that'll be the first time that his legal team, Diddy, that everybody knows that this footage is now seeing the light of day. Perhaps.
Combs' team firing back in a statement to NBC News, saying the Netflix so-called documentary is a shameful hit piece and that they relied on stolen footage that was never authorized for release. His team sending a cease and desist to Netflix.
In 50 Cent's latest documentary, silence carries more weight than any single accusation. For years, figures like Diddy and TD Jakes existed in separate spheres. Music, faith, influence rarely even mentioned together in scrutiny. But when power spans institutions, truth doesn't disappear, it simply lingers. What stayed hidden was never one incident, but a system that rewarded closeness, protected image, and conditioned those around it to believe silence was safer than honesty. And when that silence eventually breaks, the question isn't just what happened, it's how long it was allowed to persist.
To himself, wrapped his arms around me and tried to kiss me. And in that moment, I literally died.
This was a shock to many in the religious community. Bishop T.D. Jakes has been a spiritual advisor to presidents and a religious voice to thousands.
Because, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has prepared us for his departure for many decades. And many people, if you wrongly idol worship someone, you could.
In 50 Cent's documentary, a well-known pulpit leader steps aside, and the timing itself becomes part of the story. T.D. Jakes has spent decades shaping a public identity built on certainty, controlled messaging, institutional authority, and close proximity to civic influence. So when a visible leadership transition happens, it feels like more than a standard handover. In a time where reputations can shift rapidly, stepping back is often read less as retirement and more as anticipation. When this change overlaps with a separate, high-profile legal situation surrounding Diddy, public attention naturally starts forming links, even before any conclusions are known. Music, faith, and leadership transitions can all carry layers of meaning, both spiritual and strategic. The real question becomes, where do we draw the line between genuine faith-driven decisions and calculated risk management?
A shake in not only the religious community, but our culture's community, to where Dallas, we have people like Kirk Franklin, Erykah Badu, of these names, and then you hear someone like Bishop Jakes, Potter's House, that of course has risen Dallas to where you have these entities and these figures that, when you say the name, you kind of already know what it is. And we just recently seen that Bishop Jakes had stepped down. Now, I want to have this conversation because I have my own theories. No Diddy, but I have my own theories about why he would step down. But I do want to address the fact that he did step down. What is y'all take on it? And then also, where does it go from here? Dooney, if you don't mind, I can start with you because you actually have a personal relationship with Bishop Jakes. You've been calling him out for the past few years, damn near feel like a decade or so. You've been calling the man out, and now it seems like he didn't answer your phone call, and now he just stepped all the way down.
Yeah.
So
I don't blame him. I wouldn't answer the phone call. This bitch don't start letting me ask me the question. I know I would answer the call. Go ahead. Though.
Okay, please.
Let me say this, man, to Bishop T.D. Jakes. You know what I'm saying? It was never any beef, anything like that. It was just some things that went on that I wanted to sit down and talk to you about that happened at the Mega Fest in Atlanta. And one of the ministers you had on staff, because of where I came from, you know what I'm saying, it challenged my faith because of some things he did. So I just wanted to talk to you. I talked to Sean. Well, I didn't say no name, but your head security guard came and hollered at me. And I sent the word out that I just wanted to speak with you. But your son came by. Shout out to my man, your son, Jermaine, he know what it is. We talked and we discussed it. But I just want to say this to you, Bishop. You have sown a lot of seeds in Dallas. Ever since you came down, I had the honor of cutting your hair, meeting your First Lady, Jakes, Mama Jakes, Sarah, Cora. I just mentioned y'all named Jermaine, Jamar, Lil Dex. It was an honor meeting you all. And let me say to Mama Jakes, thank you for...
A civil filing introduces a name, and culture tends to accelerate toward judgment long before the legal process catches up. In 50 Cent's documentary, the transcript points to a recurring dynamic. An allegation enters a larger legal context, and proximity alone begins to be interpreted as implication. T.D. Jake's influence has often been framed in relational terms: advisor, connector, stabilizer, someone positioned near institutional and civic authority. In that kind of ecosystem, even a suggestion that credibility might be leveraged carries significance beyond the original claim itself. Legal systems are built to separate allegation from fact, to test claims before conclusions are drawn. Public memory, however, rarely follows that same discipline. It tends to compress timelines, merge association with responsibility, and lock in interpretations early. When that early judgment solidifies, the question becomes what room is left for due process to actually unfold in the public mind.
My birthday is tomorrow. His wife's birthday is tomorrow. Happy birthday! Happy birthday!
In 50 Cent's documentary, the focus is what occurred at a party, but what power can secure in its aftermath. The transcript repeatedly returns to a quiet idea. Moral authority can soften scandal, money, and legitimacy circulate within the same ecosystem, and the right associations can slow the pace of consequence. This is not presented as something unique to Diddy or T.D. Jakes, but as part of a wider system where institutions can unintentionally operate as filters for accountability. When reputation can be shaped like a campaign, the question becomes more difficult. What does responsibility look like when trust itself becomes a commodity?
Yo, happy to have you back on the platform, man. It's been a while, man. I haven't had you on the platform in a long time, man.
Man, stop playing, man. I ain't never left, man. All I did was change clothes.
So I want to get right into it, man. How you feel about these rumors surrounding, Diddy and T.D. Jakes?
Man, what I think about it is this, when I grew up in the church, the sinners was not supposed to have the same atmosphere with the saints. You have to be able to separate the two. So I'm looking at him as a saint going to a party that ain't nothing but sin, drinking, maybe fornication, man on man, woman on woman, he on she. But maybe he'd have to lay some hands on somebody. Maybe he'd have to save some souls. I know he got a contract with Revolt, so I'm just like, it's just real strange that he would be found at any kind of Diddy party or any kind of place with Diddy unless it's in a business atmosphere. So now what he's doing is he's making the Christians look real bad right about now.
And you've been to these parties, right?
Oh yeah, I was there when he was doing the white parties in the Hamptons and the whole 9 yards. So I know what goes on at the parties. If they probably got a little bit more freakier, as time went on, because they got to the point where that they didn't even care. It used to be secretly, where people used to go to, separate rooms and different rooms, and they wasn't doing that out in the public, So, but now they don't care. Men kissing men and all this other stuff. That's just crazy.
So why do you think he was going to these parties?
I think that he's going to the Diddy party, bruh. If he's going, we know he's going to the Diddy party, and I know that it's, I know what usually happens at the Diddy party, or what we're told this happened at the Diddy party. Maybe he need to see it for himself, man. Maybe he need to go there and really be involved in some things that could help save some individuals while they going to those parties. Or maybe he just going.
A personal account enters the record, and its weight comes less from specific detail and more from the power dynamics surrounding it. In 50 Cent's documentary, the narrative traces emotional access, mentorship, affirmation, and closeness, followed by an alleged violation that reframes intimacy as potential leverage. Even when treated strictly as an allegation, its implications spread quickly because it echoes a broader pattern people already recognize. Authority, when unbalanced, can turn vulnerability into compliance. Communities built on spiritual trust can become unsettled not by accusation alone, but by the possibility that that trust may have been misused. If faith leadership relies on moral clarity, how much ambiguity can it carry before the foundation itself begins to weaken?
It's hard to even talk about why would you find a religious man, when you know that the saints supposed to separate themselves from the sinners, and why would a religious man like himself be at a party which ain't nothing but sin that's going on, bro? Whether it's drinking, maybe fornicating, maybe, like I said, men on men, women on women. It's hard to put in perspective unless he's involving himself what is actually going on at the party. It's hard, brother. Bruh, you can't, I really don't know why, as a spiritual advisor to him, that they buddy when he got a party with him like that and be at his party. It's got to be, maybe it's something more that meets the eye. I don't know. I've had, I've talked to preachers and I've talked to reverends and priests, but they ain't never came to a party with me or nothing like that. So it's hard to figure that one out, bro, without even saying, what people might be thinking. But I heard that there's supposed to be some tapes or something that's coming out real soon, and I guess we'll all really know the truth if anything's on those tapes.
From your point of view, right, when you look at TD Jakes, your point of view, your opinion, do you take him serious as a pastor?
Do I take him serious? That's not my type of pastor. You got to look at a person's household, and if your household is not in order, you understand, how you going to help somebody else get their house in order? One of his sons got arrested, some years ago in Dallas, allegedly for being found in the park where a bunch of people that are homosexuals hang out and indulge in sexual activity. And I heard his two sons, which are not his biological sons, both of them are from that LGBT community. Now, how you gonna help me straighten out my house? And to me, your house ain't in order. Not saying that something is wrong with them being and choosing that lifestyle, but something is wrong with them choosing that lifestyle, being in a household with a reverend.
A former prosecutor outlines the threshold where private claims become matters of public concern. In 50 Cent's documentary, this moment is important because it shifts attention away from viral interpretation and toward institutional standards. What can be investigated, charged, proven, or excluded? The transcript highlights a direct tension. Courts operate on evidence, procedure, and burden of proof, while culture operates on interpretation, narrative, and momentum. One system is deliberately slow to reduce error, the other moves quickly, often without pause. When legal process and public perception begin moving in different directions, the distance between what is established and what is believed only continues to grow.
Know that he was forcing her. Obviously, the government is presenting this as Diddy coercing her to stay in this relationship, to continue doing these freak-offs, even though she has said she didn't want to. But how much of that did she share with Diddy? Did he know that he was coercing her into this? Because that's what the whole sex trafficking charge is going to come down to. So one of the text messages after a hotel night that they had together. Remember, hotel nights is what Jane refers to it. Cassie called them freak-offs, but these are their parties with male escorts. So after this one, this was in August of 2022, she wrote to him, "That was so much fun, baby. My love for you is unconditional and for life." She's referring to that particular freak-off that they had had. And she also talks about Paul. Paul is the guy that yesterday she said that their nickname for him was Shaq. She was Kobe and Diddy was Jordan, and they were the trifecta. So she is addressing the fact that she really enjoyed their encounters with Paul. But while Diddy's defense is trying to make it sound like, look, she was so into this. She loved having Paul. She asked for Paul. She wanted to clarify this. She said, if I had to do what I had to do, at least there was somebody who had a warm energy about them. So, yes, she is saying positive things and had positive feelings about Paul, but she's saying, I'm only doing this because this is, at least I have an option here. She would prefer to not have the hotel nights at all, but she felt like these were the circumstances of the terms and conditions, as she put it yesterday, of this relationship. She said, if I see him, Diddy, there is a request for a hotel night. So I'm just adapting to my circumstances. I'm adapting to my environment. So yes, there were moments when I suggest or organize these things under the pressures of my lover. Yes. I think that's the key thing there. She says, under the pressures of my lover. So she certainly feels pressured to do this. Does Diddy know that he's pressuring her?
Recurring question raised in 50 Cent's documentary is less purely moral and more structural. Why does spiritual authority increasingly appear in the same spaces shaped by celebrity power? These environments function as influence hubs, where access itself becomes a form of relevance. When faith and entertainment overlap around figures like T.D. Jakes and Diddy, legitimacy can circulate in multiple directions, but so can distortion. Proximity begins to operate like a kind of currency, and silence can become the cost of maintaining it. If influence depends on staying close, then the deeper question isn't only who gets protected, but what gets eroded when nothing is ever openly said.
More church news out of Dallas. A megachurch founder and pastor, T.D. Jakes of the Potter's House. His ex-son-in-law claims that T.D. Jakes abused him. Richard Brandon Coleman is the ex-husband of T.D. Jakes' daughter, Cora Jakes. An attorney representing Coleman says that Coleman now claims, along with other unnamed males, they claim to have credible allegations against the Potter's House founder, T.D. Jakes, of grooming, assault, sexting, and transporting them across state lines. Richard Brandon Coleman, 36 years old, also known by his stage name Ski Ventura, is serving time in a Texas prison for aggravated assault of a child and indecency with a child. Cora Jakes announced her divorce from Coleman in January 2022, shortly before his crimes became public, after they'd been married for about 10 years, and they have 2 adopted children. The attorney representing Coleman made this latest claim in a filing in the U.S. District Court for the Western District of Pennsylvania last Friday. That is part of an ongoing defamation lawsuit that Jakes launched against former pastor Dwayne Youngblood and 10 John Does in November 2024. So there's a lot of legal mess, lawsuit, drama going on, along with these news.
The lawyer withdraws, a firm steps back. In 50 Cent's documentary, these moments are framed as professional necessity, yet culturally they are often read as signals. Legal teams connected to cases involving Diddy prompt quiet reassessments. Alliances begin to thin, exposure gets recalculated, and distance turns into a strategic position. These exits are rarely treated as admissions. They function more like indicators of risk. When influence networks start to reorganize, it is often after something has already become visible enough to be avoided. Within the same broader context, figures such as T.D. Jakes are also read through the lens of proximity and association, where perception can shift quickly around institutional ties. The lingering question is how long that risk was considered acceptable before it reached a point where separation became necessary.
Like a whole nother scene, like a love scene from Eyes Wide Shut. Like, this is looking a little weird. I mean, if Bishop Jakes was at a Diddy party, there could only be 2 reasons. Money.
Why do you think T.D. Jakes was at Puff Daddy's birthday party?
I mean, you know, do you remember when Bernie Mac played the minister of Friday?
Yes.
That's how I feel about you. Like, that's how I feel. Oh, this pocket. But for him to be at a Diddy party, I don't know. Like, I feel the same way about that as I feel about when Tyler Perry came to his face and laid hands on him and he caught the Holy Spirit from Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry is the bishop of what? Like, I've never, like, and I cut a check for $100. I'm gonna lay my hands on your bishop. And he said to me, and then the bishop said, it's on the fucking internet. He's doing all of this, right? And then there's a woman on the dais screaming, push the baby out. Birth that baby. Push this. Are we at church? Or is this about to turn into like a whole nother scene, like a love scene from Eyes Wide Shut? Like, this shit is looking a little weird. I mean, if Bishop Jakes was at a Diddy party, there could only be 2 reasons. Money. That's all that happens at Diddy parties. Money and I hope it was for money.
Charitable contribution.
I hope it was for money, because arguing about who's going to put the strap in that can be a very uncomfortable situation. You know, we won't pray on it, praise God.
In 50 Cent's documentary, recordings operate as a form of power even before any confirmation of truth is reached. Surveillance does not require verification to influence behavior. The possibility alone can reshape choices and enforce silence. In that sense, fear itself begins to function like a quiet system of control, shaping loyalty, hesitation, and denial among those positioned around both celebrity and spiritual authority. Whether real or only perceived, the threat of exposure helps explain why influential figures connected to Diddy or operating in parallel spheres of influence around figures like T.D. Jakes may choose caution over speech. If intimidation can suppress expression without ever reaching a courtroom, the deeper question becomes, how much of what shapes public reality is never formally recorded at all?
Look, everything that I know tells me that he will get between 1 and 2 years, and I think it's going to be closer to 1. Prosecution is asking for 4. That's just not going to happen for a Mann Act violation. So if that's right, look, he wants to get the lowest he can get, and I think it's going to be between that 1 and 2 range. To get the 1, I think he's got to show the judge that he is taking his misdeed seriously. Right. And by the way, we know that even when the judge said that he was not going to let him out on bail pending sentencing, one of the things he mentioned was his violence. We've seen violence, so he knows that this is an issue for the judge, and the defense conceded it. Right. So that's something he definitely has to address. And that's what he's doing with this program.
Charles, he doesn't have to address it, but he is addressing it, and this might help him with regards to his sentence. Maybe the judge might sentence him to lesser time because he's working on himself. But
Jamie, you know what the complication here is that he's been found not guilty on the charges that relate to drug use and domestic violence. That there was no conviction using force, fraud, or coercion in these 3 ways, and drugs. The Cassie video was off the table. The only thing he's been convicted of is taking a prostitute across state lines for the purpose of prostitution.
But can't the judge consider
Yeah.
all of the testimony in the that was presented at the trial?
But the defense is going to say he was found not guilty on those things. So it's really kind of an interesting, there's that, but there's another side of this. And Jamie, you've been working on this story for 5 days now, locked this down. But there was one key word that one of the sources you spoke to. You remember what that word was?
Yeah, redemption.
Yeah, because that's the other part of it. That this is Diddy looking at my life after prison, because now that he knows he's not going to be locked away for decades, not going to be locked away for the rest of his life, if he could get out this year.
50 Cent's documentary ends without a settled conclusion by design. The boundary between evidence and interpretation is left intentionally unresolved, placing viewers in a space where discomfort persists while legal processes move forward on their own timelines. Institutions appear to intersect, church, celebrity, media, and law each carrying partial responsibility that becomes diffused across the others, from T.D. Jakes to Diddy and beyond. While the stated position is that everyone is waiting for fuller clarity, that waiting itself can start to function as a buffer. When accountability is repeatedly delayed, the more difficult question becomes who gains from a patience that never arrives at closure.
I don't know why they acting like they was in there looking for anything other than physical tape, because there was so many DNA samples in that house. They could have probably created a whole new race.
Let me ask you, when it comes to the hotels, you said that, or in the indictment, they said that there was people that were hired to clean up after the pre-call. But this is not even the people that's hired by the hotel. These are special people.
No, they had to bring in outside clean. No, this is industrial level foolishness. What are you talking about?
This is Breaking Bad level.
Imagine what happened. Now you heard this video. You heard this with him and the meat. Now we also know that T.D. Jakes is allegedly also a power bottom. And he's a much older man. And they say he's very enthusiastic in his endeavor. What happens when he pops something loose? You know what I'm saying?
It's funny because they're mentioning sex, but they're not mentioning women. They're mentioning men at this point.
Yeah.
Like is that a thing where like there's a website? It's just wild to hear like you mentioned.
You never heard of Grindr?
I'm not sure.
Why don't nobody ever talk about the fact that T.D. Jakes has an account allegedly?
Oh wow.
Grindr is it's been around for about 15 years now. It's pretty much where you can put a GPS in an asshole. So you go onto the app and it uses the location. And it routes you to the account of the man closest to you. And then y'all see him and you decide if you're going to do it at the 7-Eleven or do it at the gay club in the bathroom. It's a hookup site for promiscuous gay men.
Wow.
The Grindr.
Jeez.
Why would a bishop have a ghost account?
Yeah, let me ask you, also in the 14-page indictment.
Grinding.
Oh, not clips. Not clips.
Grinding.
Not malice.
He loved the way I did he die. That's what Jim was saying.
Yeah, we're about to go through all the lyrics again. There was an interview I was watching with, or a video I was watching with Jay-Z and Diddy from back in, I guess early 2000s. We're gonna go back and watch through all of it because
I think we need to, because everything is done in the face. They played in all of our faces all of this stuff this time, right?
Diddy Combs in the days leading up to his arrest in New York last September.
You want to put the stuff in my fanny back in?
The exclusive video obtained by Netflix shows Combs debating with his lawyers about strategy.
Listen to me. We get off the phone right now, and I am going to let you professionals look at the situation and come back to me with a solution. No matter what nobody says. Let's just here and there, y'all are not working together the right way. We're losing.
The footage is part of a new, highly anticipated docuseries by director Alex Stapleton and rapper and executive producer Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, titled Sean Combs: The Reckoning. Was there anything that surprised you when you were watching?
I think it was surprising that he actually filmed.
It was very interesting to watch a man who's known for his brand presence. You know, he has a really amazing knack for marketing and all of that, and how he was sort of taking that into account and how he was coming off to the public.
The exclusive video also shows Combs in Harlem greeting fans.
I'll accept it. I need some hand sanitizer. Hold on. I got it. I've been out in the streets amongst the people. Yeah, I gotta take a bath. Like the amount of people that actually I'm coming in contact with, like that's what I have to do. You know what I'm saying? It's like 150 hugs.
You're a public person as well, and there was one instance in Harlem, and his reaction when those people
went away.
I
feel like I need to wash. That was it shows you his character.
Was that the reason for including it?
Yeah, I mean, what's the odds that you would do that in front of the camera? Like that's one of the moments where you forgot he was on tape.
How do you respond to people who say that it's more about the disdain that you have for Sean Combs than it is for giving the victim a platform?
What they consider a pre-existing disease, right, for 20 years, right, is me being uncomfortable with him suggesting that he takes me shopping, or I looked at it like it was like a tester. Like maybe you'll come play with me, type of thing, right? And it's not personal.
I think it's important to also let people know that the show is not completely the perspectives of people that did not like Sean. We weren't trying to just get the highlights, the salacious details. You know, that the real goal was to storytell. And not everyone needed to have an allegation to be a part of this project.
The 4-part series also features 2 jurors from Combs' trial who are speaking for the first time about how they reached their mixed verdict.